Okay, so let's do a little round robin. I'm kind of fired up. Fired up so much, I decided to do a video capture, show off my somewhat thinning hair, my actually thinning hair, and my great T-shirt here. I love this T-shirt, and you get to be greeted every video with an image of a real man, not this man, but this man. I mean, I'm biologically a man too, for what it's worth. So I wanted to start really quick. So I just pulled up this old story, right, from NPR. And I go on NPR on the Facebook page, and I just love to mock these people because they're just absolutely ridiculous. So this is a story from back in September. I just did a quick search. NPR, Florida, because I knew I'd get some juicy stuff from some of these people. You know, they were pounding Florida pretty hard, and they were trying to knock down Ron DeSantis. It was all a coordinated PR campaign to try and knock him down because they knew he was popular based on what happened last year and how well he handled everything and how well the state's economy is doing. And so they took the last wave of COVID that happened starting in like July, August here in Florida, and they just said we got to go after him now if we're going to have any chance of winning back the governorship of Florida, right? And you know there was a doctor on Dr. Z on YouTube. He's a very good. He lives in San Francisco, but he's actually really center, middle of the road, more of a libertarian, kind of like a far out type of meditation dude. Really good, Dr. Zog or something. Fucking awesome. He called it out then, back in the summer. He said Florida is having this wave right now because Florida in the summer, it's a lot like the winter up north, and people tend to spend more time indoors in the summer in Florida, and of course, indoors is where COVID spreads. Kind of flies in the face of the whole lockdown thing, of course, like every other shred of common sense would tell you that the lockdowns were stupid. But of course, the liberals don't want to admit that, and the fucking Trump people don't want to admit that Trump went along with it. And a lot of other stupid policies last year besides. So here we go. And I just want to show you some of these comments because I'm going to show you something else in a minute here. So you got this guy calling him Death Santis. He's so deep in his despicable hole. Blah, blah. Killing his voters. You see a lot of that in this thing. Killing all of his voters. Kill off his own base. Kill all the citizens of Florida. It's like these people were programmed. Complete opposite of pro-life. Career blunder. What a career blunder that doctor just made. I guess the Surgeon General that he approved. Florida is the new state name. Florida, a font of endless disappointment. Well, we're going to show you something in a minute that might contradict that. First of all, let me just get to that in a minute. So here we go. We got these fucking NPR cable boomers. Okay. Here goes a fucking Florida person, one of our, liberal Floridians, saying that this action puts our state in danger, blah, blah. Oh, this was about when the whole big spiel they did over the kids in schools and the masks and shit. What a stupid thing that was. They turned this whole thing about parents being able to decide whether their kids should or should not wear masks. They turned that to this whole political fight, and they face-palmed once again. Okay, they face-palmed once again with attacking DeSantis over the mask thing for the kids. So, I don't want to even talk about the stupid cerveza sickness because that's not what this is about. So, you can see these people talking. Killing off his base, huh? Let's see about that. Okay. DeSantis, St. Pete polls, very liberal polling firm, by the way. DeSantis, +6 approval. Or this is Florida Governor DeSantis versus Christ. Okay, they only have 2 polls here, polling data. DeSantis +3 in August, in the middle of the supposed COVID crisis we were having. Now it's +6. More polling data right now. +6, +3. Christ was +1 according to St. Pete at the beginning of August. That's a push poll. DeSantis +11 at the beginning of the year. Okay, that's Mason-Dixon, probably by the name of it, maybe a more Republican-leaning firm. But I think we can say that DeSantis is popular in the state of Florida, probably much more popular than these polls are leading on, because when it comes time for election, all of these fucking idiot liberals are going to vote for DeSantis, and they're going to say they voted for Christ. I mean, what are they doing putting Christ up? He was already governor, and he wasn't a popular governor. They think he was a one-termer. Okay, and you had the reaction of getting Skeletor, what's his name? Fucking Skeletor. The other guy, the guy that's in the Senate right now, Skeletor we used to call him. Now that he came and did 2 terms after that. Because Christ was a fucking clown show. And they think they're going to get Chris back. What is going on with these Democrats? And as far as, me being, I'm not a Republican, but I am very happy with how things have gone in Florida. Thank God we had someone like DeSantis. Imagine what would have happened if Andrew Gillum, the meth head, was our governor. But then back to these people. Look at these. So I'm going to X out of this. These people will not stop. And if you look at any of the Twitter message boards, there's all these people talking shit about Florida. Oh, Florida this, Florida that, Florida this, Florida that. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I want to show you something here. Let's go. Oh, my goodness. Let me connect back to the internet here. We just had a little power outage, which is kind of rare. Okay, we're back on the internet. I want to show you something. I was just in Key West for work. Had to drive 5 hours, to work on a boiler. Look at what we have here, Key West. I noticed that you can tell a lot of these people where they're from just by the way they look and by the way they dress. Look at all these people in Key West. This is not super busy, but this is a Thursday night. Look at all these people in Key West. How many of these people do you think? You got to say at least 1 out of 100 of these people were on the internet only 3-4 months ago talking all kinds of shit about Florida and how crazy, how dangerous Florida is, how poorly run Florida is, how the people of Florida are stupid, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and I was there a few days ago, and you just see all of these northerners, all these people from all over the place, from blue states, red states, whatever. Barely anyone. Do you notice anybody wearing a mask here? There goes one. Okay, not too many people wearing masks, though, are there? These people are coming from California, New York. The New Yorkers, I live in South Florida. The New Yorkers have come here like a fucking tsunami this year. We didn't get so much of. We had quite a few last year too that actually fled and really didn't go back. But the New Yorkers are down here. It's a fucking wave of fucking New Yorkers. They're running around like they're out here partying like it's 1999. The same people who would have been on Twitter only 6 months ago talking mad shit. Okay. This is actually not too busy. I've seen, this is getting close to Christmas. See this little fucking tourist trap place. Watch this place on spring break. Yeah, it's just wall to wall people everywhere. But all these people, look at how pale she is. She's from somewhere up north. Okay. Look at this guy look at this guy. He's from somewhere up north. Okay, look how pale these people are. They're not from Key West. They're not from, a lot of them aren't from Florida. Definitely from up north somewhere. Okay? All the shit they talked. Here they are in Florida. Maskless. In close proximity to each other. Oh, it's not so bad down here, is it? I want to ask these New Yorkers. They're everywhere. Oh, why'd you come down here? I thought this was a terrible place and the people here were terrible and they're crazy for not wearing masks and all that. I remember last year you would have New Yorkers come down and start shit with people over not wearing masks. Stupid shit like that. But yeah, look at this guy. This guy's in a scooter in the middle of the street. Yeah, it's a cool little place. It is a tourist trap. I spent enough time down there. It's got a lot of history to it, which I like. But it is definitely a tourist trap. But yeah, I see a lot of people, okay, 1% of these people, let's say 1 in 100 of these people, or maybe even half a person out of 100, I don't know, 0.5, were on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, on these NPR message boards, okay, talking mad shit. Okay, so that's the first thing, you know. It's just people are full of shit. People are full of shit, okay? Now, the next thing I wanted to get into was Ghislaine Maxwell. So let's just bring up this. This is a very good... We're going to move you guys out of here. I don't know. I got to get you guys out of here now. I've seen enough. You look at all these people. Look at all these people. Everywhere. They're all from up north. This is actually kind of slow. All these fucking people. A lot of them are from up north. There goes... Look at this boomer here. Not a boomer. He's more of like my age, actually. Okay. Nobody's wearing a mask, are they? It's because when you're around people that aren't wearing masks, you don't want to be the one wearing the mask and looking stupid. These same people up north are wearing their masks everywhere they go. And they're coming down here. They're enjoying life. Just 6 months ago, they were talking all kinds of shit. I just can't get over it. And I see it with all these New Yorkers down here as well. They're not saying a word. They know we were right. They were wrong. We won. They lost. They lost the argument. They lost the conversation. They lost the moral. And they lost the moral supremacy. They've lost it. They got no more. They're bankrupt of moral supremacy at this point. Look at these fucking, this guy. He looks like some from fucking New York or some shit. Anyway, now we got, let's X out of here. Go back to seeing Vladimir Putin for a second. So, I wanted to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell case. I think that Ghislaine Maxwell's going to walk. This is a very good... I'm starting to love this guy more and more. He's a New York reporter, a real reporter, pretty apolitical, and just a very good reporter. He has his Twitter handle. He has his own website, Inner City Press, and I'm a fan. And he's been doing, really typing minutes of the trial on his Twitter handle, and you can see him here. I think that you got to go down a ways because they didn't even actually have... they didn't actually have trial today. He also does other trials. Here he goes. I don't know what trial this is, but it's Judge Sullivan's. Probably a January 6th case. So I've been keeping track with him. Robert Grueller, watching The Watchers. The LawTube thing is getting really good. I've always been interested in the law just because... When I was young and I was up to no good, I felt it was, necessary and interesting to learn the law. I would read Supreme Court opinions. I'm like 22, 23 years old. I wanted to know the law in order to, because I saw the law enforcement, truly I saw them as my enemy. And what better way to deal with your enemy than know how they know their rules and know how they think. And the law is how the enemy thinks. So I thought it would be a good thing to learn the law. I've always been interested. Now you have this, it started with Viva Fry, and now you have this whole LawTube thing blowing up with Nick Rekieta. I liked Uncivil Law, Nate the Lawyer. All these guys are fantastic. And then with Robert Grueller is also probably my favorite right now. And he's been covering the Ghislaine Maxwell case in really fine detail. Well, as fine as you're going to get in 2 hours a night. And he's been using Inner City Press's basically transcripts of the case that he's been putting in, and I want to see if I could find one in here, but so we got to go back a ways because this guy is tweeting a lot. This is what he does for a living, obviously. So he gets into the UN, the corruption of the UN. I just saw this video with Viva Fry on Viva Fry's channel. He did a really short notice interview with this guy. Fantastic. I learned so much about the corruption of the UN, which I saw personally when I was in the military, by the way. It's pretty breathtaking, the amount of so here we got see, for example, he's doing like minutes. So basically he's in the overflow room listening to it, and he's taking notes, and he's live tweeting what the whole case, the whole trial. So what I have gathered from this, first of all, with this whole case, obviously the media is trying to cover it as little as possible. I mean, you see one blurb a day from like New York Times, Washington Post, whatever. And I think I did a video about that the other day, how they don't seem to want their audience to really get too deep into the trial. But the coverage is out there. You just have to go to independent media. And you know, the first thing you see is and then the media blackout, and then you see that from even before the trial started, so many redactions, so much censorship in the court documents, in the exhibits during the trial, the exhibits presented in court, so much redactions and blackouts of names and faces, even names that are publicly known. Like in the trial, they blacked out a flight log that had Bill Clinton's name on it, which is available online. They had some weird stuff, like they had a bunch of exhibits of pictures of Jeffrey Epstein, one of Jeffrey Epstein's houses, and all of the pictures, you know, they would have like a table here with a bunch of pictures on it. All of the pictures were blacked out. You know, everywhere you go in that house, they would black out things, probably very important people. And so they also had this weird exhibit. It was like an enclosed closet type thing. And in the closet were these framed pieces of paper. They kind of look like certificates, like college certificates. But one of them that's not blacked out is this weird handwritten sort of framed picture with handwriting on it, and it has a skull and crossbones on it on one side, the picture of a skull and crossbones, then a line going to like a woman on the other side. So it was weird shit. But all of the other pictures, so that was like in the center of the exhibit of the picture, and then there was a bunch of framed what looked like certificates, but they may have been handwritten sort of pictures. Whatever they were all blacked out. You know, and this guy, when he was on Viva Fry today, he brought up the point which I brought up. I did a little Facebook post on my political page, Vladimir Putin for U.S. President. I started that page back during when Russiagate started in 2016 to mock Russiagate, because I knew from the beginning, having some personal experience in intelligence, that this was a disinformation campaign and a sort of intelligence sort of operation, psyop operation. So I have the receipts online that I called out Russiagate from the beginning. But as a side note, I put in a little post there, and you know, if this was such a global sort of sex trafficking conspiracy, and they only have 4 witnesses, they only have 4 victims, that is. You know, and these victims are not, so far, 2 of the victims that testified, from what I saw, they got absolutely destroyed by the defense team. If this was such a global, all-encompassing sex trafficking ring, they should be able to produce a lot more victims to bear witness and testify, and they should be able to produce a lot more witnesses generally and a lot more evidence. And it seems like they're withholding, the prosecution, the government, is withholding a lot of evidence to protect people that may have been privy to the services that Jeffrey Epstein provided. So I think that they're in the process of blowing this case. At least, I think she has 4 charges of sex trafficking, or 3. Maybe all she needs is 1. All they really need to get is 1. But I can see this case getting totally blown because they are withholding so much evidence that could easily put Ghislaine Maxwell in jail. They're afraid of, they're basically more concerned with protecting very important people and probably government actors on top of that, rather than prosecuting Miss Maxwell. And, I'm always going to side with the defense because I'm a libertarian and I used to engage in a little criminal activity myself, hypothetically maybe. I don't know. It's possible I did. And so I'm always going to side with the defense. And I'm not saying Ghislaine it seems to me like she's a terrible person. But I haven't seen much in the trial so far that really shows that she was involved in the actual sex trafficking ring. It's just the witnesses saying she was there and this and that. So I don't see the evidence there, and I think it's possible she will walk. My prediction right now is that she's going to walk. That could change in a week or 2. I mean, the prosecution said they were going to rest their case this week. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Maybe there is trial tomorrow. I'm not sure today. They didn't seem to do much today. So, it seems like Judge Nathan, obviously being a federal judge, she's siding more with the prosecution, but that's not abnormal. But if you look at the documents and the motions that were filed, anybody can go on Pacers. I think they charge 10 cents a document. And you can pull up any documents you want that are available that are not sealed to the public. And you can just see entire pages of these motions are completely blacked out. It's not normal. You can go to any other sex trafficking. Their excuse is, we're just trying to protect the victims. And they're implying by saying that it's standard procedure, but they can't say directly it's standard procedure because it's not. Because you can go on Pacers and look up any sex trafficking case you want that's available to the public, and you will not see that level of redaction. So obviously they're trying to keep things quiet. They're not allowing a call-in for people to listen to the trial. So there's a lot of things that lead me to believe that the prosecution is really withholding a lot of evidence. And this is about protecting. I think it's more of a show than anything else. It's like they know they botched the Epstein affair. People were very interested in it. It makes the government look really bad because the government actually is really bad. And they want to put a prosecution under their belts in order to try and diffuse the interest in the public of this matter. And it looks to me like it's a good possibility. At this point, I'm going to say maybe 50-50 chance that Ghislaine Maxwell is going to walk. Or at least get a mistrial. So, that's my second thing I wanted to bring up. And the third thing I wanted to bring up was this whole thing with Russia that's going on. Russia is, what's happening right now is that Biden and the administration, they're trying to bring their poll numbers up. So you start seeing all of this coordinated media / administration, PR, trying to say, oh, we're going to be tough on Russia. Russia's doing this. The media is doing it for the ratings. And as we saw, I guess a report came out that the administration was directly coordinating with certain media outlets to, for the media outlets to provide messaging on the economy, which really sucks. So they're trying to coordinate with the media on that, and they're probably coordinating. They always have done that. We all know that. We know that from back in 2016, Pied Piper strategy, all this stuff. When the Clinton emails, and she was emailing MSNBC and these other outlets saying, do this, cover Trump more, so because we think we can beat Trump in the election, so we want Trump to win the primary. So they got their wish there on Trump winning the primary, but they underestimated how shitty of a candidate Hillary Clinton was. So this whole Russia thing they're starting, obviously it's to bring Biden's poll numbers up, to make him look like he's tough on foreign policy. The reason Russia and the United States do not get along right now, the reason Russia and the United States have no relationship whatsoever, is because politicians have been using Russia as this sort of political tool for a decade or more. I mean, back in the 2000s, it was the Republicans doing it, and then it became the Democrats doing it. And so they're trying to do this, but the thing is, the problem with the whole situation is that Russia can invade Ukraine tomorrow, and the United States won't be able to do anything about it. Of course, they're not going to get into a war in Ukraine. That's highly unlikely. That wouldn't help their poll numbers, to send Americans over to die in Ukraine over an invasion that has nothing to do with the United States. I don't think that would go over well with the public. And then they say sanctions this, sanctions that. Well, here's the thing about sanctions. Russia barely trades with the United States at this point. That's partially a consequence of the political stance we've had for so long. United States is number 9 on the list of trading partners at a measly 3%. And I'm sure most of that is from Russia coming here, selling us oil and stuff like that. China is the top trading partner. Netherlands is number 2. It's mostly major European countries: Netherlands, United Kingdom, and Germany. Here we have South Korea above the United States. Then it rounds off with several more countries. India is actually looking to trade more with Russia. What's the United States going to do if Russia invades Ukraine? Stop trading with them? We're already basically not trading with them. Are they going to go to United Kingdom or Netherlands or Germany and tell those people, hey, let's not trade with Russia anymore. You can't, stop buying natural gas from Russia. Do you think that's going to happen? That's not going to happen. Japan's not going to stop trading with Russia. South Korea, I doubt they'll stop trading with Russia. Okay. The United States has no leverage in this situation. We've created this situation where we have no leverage because of our political stance. If we had been more friendly towards Russia and increased trade with Russia, then Russia would be less likely to invade or to cause problems in Ukraine. If this number here, instead of being 3%, if it was more like 5% or 7%, Russia would be much less likely to do anything that might anger the United States. But because we've been fucking around using Russia as a political cudgel for 10 years now, really more like 8 years, basically since Crimea, a little bit before that. Okay? Look at what Obama said in 2012. He said, he told the Russian ambassador, hey, wait till after the election, then I can talk to you. I can't do it right now because of politics. The Russians are like, what's wrong with these fucking people? So if we had built a better relationship with Russia, then we would have leverage. But we have more leverage over China, much more, than we do over Russia. But I don't think even China's 14% of Russia's exports go to China. And I'm sure China sends quite a bit of shit over to Russia. You know, Russia has some trade deficits here, but we have no leverage. So if you want to see, whenever they talk about sanctions, you see this in the news all the time. Oh, U.S. imposed sanctions. And they never talk about what those sanctions were, obviously. There's a reason for that. Let's look at a good website, it's called a timeline of all Russia-related sanctions. We have stuff like this. This is a sanction. EU adds, the United States imposes sanctions aimed at sectors of let's see, including armaments, energy. These include targeted VV, Bank of Moscow, and Russian Agricultural Bank. That was in 2014. That's actually one of the most effective, most serious sanctions I've seen in here. Most of these sanctions are going to be stuff like this. The U.S. Treasury bans companies from supplying goods and technologies. Okay, so they're saying U.S. companies can't supply goods to specific companies in Russia. Not a big deal. Again, not a big deal. A lot of this stuff is saying, this is one of the most common sort of sanction. Whenever they say sanctions, chances are it's something like this. United States imposes sanctions on 14 individuals, the Russian National Commercial Bank, and the Eurasian Union of Youth. So basically, we're going to, not allow these people to get visas or to hold bank accounts in the United States. These are just individual people. A lot of times when they say sanctions, that's what the sanction actually is. EU bans Visa assets. So all EU ever seemed to do is ban Visa assets and freeze assets. Ban visas and freeze assets. If you go down this timeline of sanctions, here goes another one. Sanctions against these individuals. Big deal. Okay. Big deal. 23 Russian companies for sanctions. Big deal. That's not saying we're not going to trade with Russia at all. There was one in here where it said the United States is not going to sell weapons to so here goes again. UN imposes sanctions on 20 individuals and 9 companies. So when they say sanctions, usually the sanctions are these things. We're going to, ban 21 individuals from entering the country. Big fucking deal. So it's all bullshit. In reality, the United States has no leverage over Russia. So here's where we're at. We had Afghanistan. Okay, and I was perfectly happy with us getting out of Afghanistan. But the reality is that the United States looked completely incompetent in the withdrawal. It displayed in full display to the world our complete lack of leadership and competence, okay, in military matters. And trust me, our rivals were watching. And I think round 2 of the fall of the United States is going to be very possibly Russia invading Ukraine, and then the United States doing nothing about it. Just like when Russia invaded Crimea, it's going to be almost a repeat. And it makes sense because that was Obama and this is Biden. And it's going to be a repeat of that. Okay. And you're going to see them say all over the news, U.S. imposes sanctions and this and that and the other. So what? Russia hardly trades with the United States. And all of the other countries that trade with Russia, the major ones, they're not going to stop trading with Russia. The United States isn't powerful like that anymore. We can't force Germany to stop trading with Russia. They've been buying gas from Russia for decades and decades. And the United States is always talking shit about it, and nothing ever happens because Germany needs the natural gas. Same thing with Netherlands. The only one I could see that might do something at the behest of the United States would be maybe UK or South Korea. But I don't know. Are you going to tell me the UK? Are you going to go to the UK and tell them you can't buy natural gas anymore? Your people are going to freeze to death now? Is that how it's going to go? I doubt it. Who are they going to buy natural gas from? Not the United States. Is it going to? I mean, are they going to go for buying natural gas at a much higher price, increasing energy prices exorbitantly for the entire population? I don't think so. So this is all bullshit. If Russia does invade Ukraine, or if there is some sort of, referendum and the eastern part of Ukraine decides to go to Russia, whatever happens there, the United States won't be able to do anything about it. But we're basically wallowing in a morass of shit of our own making at this point. First of all, the reason there is tensions in the first place, really the bottom line with the whole situation, is the United States and EU in their never-ending quest to sell more weapons, okay? The weapons industry runs our foreign policy at this point. In their never-ending quest, they want to expand NATO into Ukraine because that would be a great place to sell weapons. I mean, they already are selling weapons, but if they get Ukraine into NATO, then they can sell more weapons. Not only for the United States with their weapons industry, but also the German weapons industry is one of the second major weapons industries. One of the main reasons, the two main reasons we have a rivalry with Russia in the first place, it has nothing to do about Russia's politics and their oligarchy, which is the same thing we have here, or the autocratic rulership of Putin. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that Russia's weapons industry is a rival to our weapons industry, and then so are the geopolitics of energy with the gas and the oil, the fact that Russia is not within the petrodollar system. Okay, all of that has to do with it. It's all about money. It's about selling weapons. Okay, but the United States is weak right now, and Russia knows it, and China knows it. So if you're Russia, you're going to take advantage of that. You just saw a debacle in Afghanistan. The United States was the laughingstock of the world. It's readily apparent that our military has no leadership, so it doesn't matter how much money we sink into our military. If you look at any conflict in history, the deciding factor is almost always leadership. You have the Franco-Prussian War, where the French had much better weapons. I think the Prussians had maybe better artillery, which they used to great effect, but the French had more people, better weapons overall, but they had poor leadership and poor planning, so the Prussians kicked their ass. Leadership means everything in military conflicts. So the United States has no leadership right now. Our system is corrupt. Our military is corrupt, just like everything else in our system. So Russia's not going. So this whole thing with Russia and the United States, it's not going to work out in our favor, in my opinion. Americans have no one to thank but themselves. It's the idiot American who is the primary reason we have such bad leadership. And the thing is Americans need to get slapped in the face a few times with reality before they realize it. And it'll happen. It's going to happen to us. And thankfully, living in Florida, I think things will be better here than in other parts of the country. We're going to insulate ourselves. We're going to focus locally. We're going to say fuck Washington, D.C. and fuck all those other states. And we're going to run shit here how we want to run it. And not be stupid asses like everybody else. Because all those people that were talking, back to the beginning, full circle, all those people who were talking all that shit over COVID and DeSantis not forcing kids to wear masks or DeSantis not forcing people to get jabbed, they're all eating their own fucking shit right now. They all look stupid, and they're all here pretending like it never happened. So that's my spiel for today. I am out.